Harmon, would you say you're good at managing stress?
It goes up and down, to be fair. Like sometimes, depends on what type of stress it is. I think, like, if it's like everyday stress, like, like work stress or everyday stress, I'm really good at managing that. But if it's something where in my head, I make it sound like, to myself, I make it sound like, oh yeah, that's like a life-changing thing, then I can be quite bad at managing that stress.
Let's talk a bit further about that then. Hey guys, welcome back to 2BFT. The agenda for today's episode is discussing stress with Harmon and Rav, your hosts. So I'd just like to get into today. We've already introduced what the topic is going to be. So across your whole life, have you had any specific ways you deal with stress, or you had specific ways before that have changed? Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think you'll relate to this as well, and obviously I'll ask you your ways of dealing with stress, because that might help me as well. But one of the biggest things that I've done in my life to manage stress, which actually I should be doing right now because I've just moved houses, right? You've helped me move houses recently, and like, how stressful that is for me. Like I hate moving and, taking all your belongings and going to a different place, and you lose things. You've got to figure out everything in the new place, how it works, especially in this economy when people our age are renting. A lot of people our age are renting. They don't own their property, or they are living away from parents, and it's a stressful thing. I think stability at home is the biggest stress in anyone's life. If you don't own your house and you rent, that is one of the biggest stresses in your life, unless you are well off, or you know that your place is amazing. But the way I deal with that is, I think, consistently going to the gym, getting the exercise in. I think it's not only just a physical stress relief, but it's also a mental stress relief, because for that 1 hour I forget everything, which to be fair, I should be doing that right now because I've been so stressed. You know how stressed I've been, right, with moving. But I haven't been going to the gym because I'm stressed. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, gym can help me beat stress, but also not going to the gym is stressing me out. And also I should go gym, but I'm not going gym because I'm stressed.
Do you know what's funny, Harmon? I was thinking deeply about what you said, and there was a point that you brought up just earlier before you started speaking about going to the gym.
Yeah.
And you were saying that stability is one of the biggest stresses in a person's life, and I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting that in our, I think it was Who is Rav episode, I said that, sometimes all Asian parents care about is if you own a house or not whether you're happy, or if you're married and have kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny to say that. It is true. So I understand where South Asian parents come from when they say, oh, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, because they know, and I guess maybe we didn't appreciate it so much as children, how owning your own house, having your own house really takes a lot of stress out of your life. So we said before in, the Who is, don't quote me on that, guys, if it's Who is Rav, we've recorded so many episodes. It's like one big blur for us. So yeah, I'd just like to get some more information from you regarding that, Harmon, because we did have a stance on it before that, that seems to be a thing only South Asian parents care about. But do you think it helps? Do you think it's good now?
Do you know what? Now that I think about it this way, and we did have that stance before, like, that's all that parents care about. But now, if you look at it in that limelight, it does make sense, because your parents only go on about certain things to you because they know that will help you in the future. Majority of the time, obviously, not saying that every single person ever is always right. Like, your parents are also human. They can make mistakes. They can be wrong in certain aspects. But obviously, they have your best interest at heart. So I think that is like, I don't think I've ever really hated the fact that Asian parents are always going on at us about like owning our own houses. I think what annoys our generation is that maybe there's a disconnect where parents might not understand that it's really hard in this day and age for us to actually own a house. To be fair, my parents are quite good with that, and I think your parents are quite good. They are like our parents are quite up to date with these things. They know the economy and like they're up to date with like what's happening in the world. So they're quite good with understanding. Like they won't just force us to be like, no, Rav, save money, get your house. You know, like they'll be like, no, Rav, I understand. No matter how much you save right now, it is going to be a difficult task. It is going to be a monumental task in your life. So I think that stability that having and owning a house gives you is what they are always on about. And I agree with that. Having moved so many times, and obviously you've moved as well, I kind of see I see where they're coming from. And that leads me on to asking you, because I also know that you've I know I've moved a few more times than you, but you've also recently moved about like a year ago. So because I can understand, I know the stress behind moving. So how did you deal with that, and how would you deal with any kind of stress that comes up in your life?
So the best way that I deal with stress is, it sounds a bit cliche, but it's really to not think too much about outcomes and what's going to happen. I think the best way to deal with stress, as a heavy generalization, obviously, dealing with stress in some situations should be reviewed on a case-by-case basis, but as a general rule of thumb, I think that the best way I've dealt with stress in my life is to accept that the actions I must take are the actions I must take. Whatever's in my day, if I have to go to the gym in the morning, I have to do this, I have to work, I have to get this done. Try as best as you can in your life to systemize those things. And what happens is you can get all those things done regardless of stress. So stress is also good for you to a certain extent, because it drives you past the limit to do certain things or to take certain risks. There's been studies of mice where if you put them in the most stressful situation is a life or death situation, and I think we can all agree on that. There was a study where they got like a cat, and cats hunt mice, and they're like the natural predator. They don't really hunt them, but they like chase them around and stuff. And the mouse is in a corner and the cat is closing in on it. So the mouse has nowhere to escape, basically, and has to fight. In that situation, the mouse will have a massive spike of testosterone and unleash a last stand attack, like a vicious attack.
Adrenaline.
On the cat, adrenaline. So it will get loads of adrenaline, but have a massive spike. And adrenaline.
Not testosterone.
No,
I'm just thinking like the mice are injecting testosterone to be like Ronnie Coleman or something. They're gonna be like Arnold, like, come fight me, I'll be back.
And it's crazy to see, because had that mouse not been stressed or pressured in that situation, it wouldn't be able to do that, and it might not think it would be able to do that, but it can. So stress allows you to break your limits, and once you get over that stress, you become proud of yourself. You're like, yo, I did that, bro. When you have to move in the situation, like when I was at uni and there was like 1 week left to do my dissertation, and you already know me, I didn't really start it, but it was set in like September, and then it was due in like April, and I started it a week before.
This guy was telling me since September. He's like, oh, bro, do you know what? All I've got to do is now my dissertation is going to be like so sick. Then a few months down the line, he's like, yeah, bro, I've just got to do my dissertation. Then 2 weeks before, he's like, oh, yeah, bro, I left it till the end. So now I'm like non-stop grafting. He's like staying up till like 3 a.m. doing his dissertation.
Do you know why though? Because the stress kicked in.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Because the stress wasn't high enough before, and that's why I wasn't doing it.
You got so much time, didn't you?
Yeah, because I had so much time. I was like, yeah, I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling. And then, guess what? One day I wasn't chilling.
I wasn't chilling, yeah. You woke up and it hit the point. You're like, okay, now is the time. 2 weeks before.
So, not obviously the healthiest way to go about doing it. Healthiest way is to just
overtime,
do it like
slowly.
half an hour a day. And stuff. Who works on something for half an hour a day though, bro? Like, let's be honest.
Someone who's working on something half an hour a day.
Oh, well, not me. You're better than me. Whoever that one guy in the comments,
yeah, he does that.
He does that. He works on everything for half an hour a day, and he gets like 10 hours of work, productive work and everything.
Do you know what that just reminded me of? what you just said about the stress kicking in. When we were in school, and it's a mutual friend of ours. I don't know if I should name them. I mean, to be fair,
Probably not.
okay, we won't name them. So,
He who must not be named.
she who must not be named.
Oh.
Yeah, she who must not be named. The name starts with O. I'll say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She used to be in psychology and sociology, right? And she was the opposite of us. When we had exams or we had anything to revise for, we did not do anything until maybe like the night before, the hour before. Whereas she used to always be in that level of stress. So back then, we were the opposite, right? Like now, I think we both have like a level of stress that we're always at. Back then, we had nothing. And the person that I'm speaking in regards to had that level of stress always. And she came up to me one day and she had this graph from her psychology lesson. And she showed it to me and said, "Oh, Harman, this is us on the graph. Like, you're on the left side." And the graph basically showed the amount of effort versus stress levels. And the graph basically showed if you had zero stress about things, if you don't take stress about anything,
You have zero effort.
you had zero effort in things. But if you had the opposite end of maximum stress, you also had zero effort.
Yeah, because it just puts you off.
Because if you have no stress, you have no motivation or drive to do anything. But if you have the maximum stress, you are paralyzed. And that I see that happening now, because back then I was younger and I didn't really have responsibilities like I do now. Now that because I have these responsibilities, living on my own, trying to make way in my life, like establish myself as a person. Sometimes that stress level gets to the maximum, and I do feel paralyzed at that time. I feel like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. All I can do right now is just function, like the bare minimum functions. I can't go to the gym. I can't watch movies. I can't enjoy myself. I just want to lie in bed and doom scroll online because that's all I can do right now. Whereas there is between that zero stress and maximum stress, there's a massive amount of data that showed that there is a level of optimal stress and work.
The bell curve.
Yeah. And it wasn't exactly a bell curve because stress is dependent on a lot of external factors, internal factors, how you react to things.
It's also what you define stress as.
Yeah, like some people, someone's car breaks down, that's not stress for them because if they've got money, they can just get it fixed. Whereas if someone that doesn't have money and is waiting to get paid and their car breaks down, that's like maximum stress for them.
Yeah.
So the graph showed that there is a level in each person where they're at like an optimal stage of stress to work ratio. Like at that stress level, they work the best.
Work the most efficiently.
Yeah. And I think it's also that your story just reminded me of that because you had how many months to do your dissertation? So you had zero stress. So you had zero work. As you started getting closer to it, to be fair, like it was probably not healthy to get 2 weeks before and do the dissertation. Maybe you should have done it like 3 months before. Yeah. 1 week, did it 1 week before. But that must have been like almost maximum stress to maximum stress to like burnout ratio. At that point, I'm guessing you were probably focused on dissertation so much. You didn't care about going to the gym. You didn't care about eating, blah. You just wanted to get that done at that. That's what I mean. You were paralyzed with everything else. You just wanted to get rid of that stress. Whereas if you maybe started 2 months ago, 2 months before dissertation, then you could have managed it around everything. And I think it is like life's a journey about finding your optimal stress balance because let's face it, no one's life is stress free. Everyone's got something to be stressed about. Even if you're a millionaire. Have you seen that video on TikTok? It's like millionaire. It's like the guy standing outside the BMW. He's like looking at his phone. He's like, "Yo, millionaire, millionaire, big man." Because he's got a BMW i7 and he's opening the car door automatically. He's like, he's crazy. He's like, "Wow, I've never seen this." But yeah, if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, you still have stress because guess what? If you wake up one day and you make the wrong decision, your company's down the drain. Or if you make the wrong decision as the CEO, guess what? The shareholders are going to kick you out. So that's that stress. But people are managing these things. I know me personally, I stress a lot about like things, but that's because in my life, these things like moving house, obviously I want to start driving soon and learn how to drive a car. All these things are like high stress for me. But for you, you already know how to drive a car. You've just moved, but you're with your mom and your sister. You're at home living with them. It might not be as stressful for you moving compared to how it is for me, because I'm solo. Like once I've moved, obviously you helped me with everything, and I'm very grateful for that. My mom helped me as well. Like my parents helped me. But once I've moved, then I've got to manage it all on my own. That's another stressful thing, because if something goes wrong, you have to like get through to the landlord, do this, follow this procedure, blah blah blah.
That's the thing though, that stress and these events can always be looked at from different perspectives, which is kind of an annoying thing as well, because there are good and bad events that are happening. But do you know how we say that there's no good or bad?
Yeah.
Good or bad is completely a human construct, and this is where most stress comes from, because I could raise a different point to that and say, because you're on your own, you can manage everything exactly how you choose to. Because you've grown up an only child, I've grown up with siblings, right?
Yeah.
So I know that that's a different type of stress.
Yeah.
Because you can no longer manage things in your own way. You have to manage things and like get approval from other people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think in my house the kitchen is exactly the way I want it?
No.
It's everyone's kitchen.
It's everyone's
it's just
kitchen,
like,
yeah. Someone's put something.
The way the kitchen is the way kind of everyone's made it.
Yeah.
Over time. My sister and my mom will have the pots and pans that put the in this cupboard, and then my sister, a few days later, my sister's moved it to the other cupboard, and then everyone's asking, "Oh, where is it?" Even stuff in the bathroom, bro.
Yeah.
I'll have like some shower gel somewhere, and then someone's moved it somewhere and it's disappeared. So it's a different type of stress. So all of these lives that people live, everyone is under some sort of stress, right? Even if you're the son of a billionaire, you're still gonna have stress. You're still gonna have problems to worry about. They're just different problems. Yeah. Imagine, we've known each other since year 8.
We were like 14.
Yeah, so probably a bit younger than that, 12, 13 maybe.
Nah,
but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Basically. That's the
10
point.
10 years.
That's the point. It's been a long time, right? And we were talking about how long it's been, and I lost my train of thought. Well, we were thinking about how long it's been. This is where the bloody ADHD kicks in, isn't it? It's because you interrupted me, that's why. Guys, it's Harmer's fault, that's why. This podcast has been stopped because of Harmer. We can't go any further. Until I realise what I was supposed to say.
Wait, let me pause it.
I've got what I was going to say. You know how we've seen each other grow up? We have that trust. And in school, we just hung around, bro. Like, I didn't do things for you. You didn't do things for me. It's different. Like, now we do things for each other because we know what life is like. And, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That sort of thing. Bro, I know that, like, regardless of how much money I have or whatever's going on, that I have you and you have me, right? Imagine you're the son of a billionaire. You might have all this money and stuff like that, but then you get that stress that, are any of these people in my life really with me for me? Imagine that stress, bro. Imagine thinking that everyone in your life is only in your life because you're the son of a billionaire.
Yeah.
Imagine like that stress. We can't imagine that stress because we don't have that stress.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So the billionaire son might be looking at you thinking, oh yeah, you guys are just friends, and you like, it doesn't matter what he does. He could lose his job or he could do this, and you guys would still be sitting there laughing. Like something could happen to the billionaire and he could lose all his money, and bro, everyone's gone from his life potentially.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they will be, but he might not know that. It's for sure.
It's the stereotype, isn't it? When you see movies and it's like the rich person learns that not everyone's their friend when they lose everything, and then they find this random guy on the streets that's going through things, but he's like the realist.
Yeah, he's like the best friend.
Yeah,
and then they end up being friends after.
And then they both become rich. But the stereotypes are there for a reason. Like,
because it is true. Every stereotype is true to a certain extent. You know, Indians stink, bro. There are so much Indians around Birmingham, and they do smell of curry, bro. Like,
yeah,
they do. Unless some of them spray perfume and they smell nice, but the stereotype is there.
But it's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess. Like, I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, different people have different aspects of what stinking is. Like, to me, smelling like curry isn't stinking. That's like, if in the morning your mom's cooking aloo de parote, and like she's got the onions and everything, like, in the aloo de parote, your clothes are gonna catch that scent. That's what, like, just don't go into the kitchen when your mom's making them. But you can't help it because it's so nice. But I get what you're saying, and I agree with that, because for a person like that who's got everything in their life, materialistically, they've got everything. They've got the best house, best car, you know, everything. They've got everything materialistically. What's left in their life what's their purpose? Their purpose is making connections, living life, having family, etc. But those are the things that then they can't control.
And that's everyone's purpose anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We just have the added extra stress of, obviously we don't have millions and billions, right? We also have to make that like happen. We're trying to make our careers, earn a living, etc. So on top of that, we also have to find the people that are like, you know, our best relationships, you know, maybe when you get married, your wife or husbands that you have to find, you want to make sure they're also like your people. Then the added thing on top is illnesses. You can't control illnesses or accidents. For example, a billionaire could lose his wife in an accident. They can't control that. We can get an illness, or like someone's parents have got an illness and they're getting older as well. Age, you can't control these things, and all these you can. I think what I'm trying to say is like, you can sit there and think, oh, there's all these things wrong in life, or you can sit there and enjoy the happiness around these things, because that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's stresses in everyone's life, and that's what I did today. For example, you know how stressed I've been with moving, right? Look outside right now. For the BFs that don't know, we've got, and they will know soon, because I think we should just announce it now what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, we're going to be bringing video podcasts soon. Very soon.
Very soon, bro.
We don't know when, but very soon.
I think you've got your trip planned, so possibly after that, once everything in this new place is settled, we can get a nice camera set up and everything.
Yeah, this guy's gonna have to start being in his boxes every single time he's.
I am not. I am not in my box. I'm not sitting here in my boxes, actually, guys. Everyone just thinks now I'm just sitting here in my box. What are you doing? What are you doing looking at me just in my boxes then?
Because I wear boxes too.
No, we're not putting that image in people's head. But anyways, for the BFs now, we've got a beautiful, massive balcony window that's overlooking like a really sunny garden outside. It's like a massive park, and summer's coming. We're gonna have so much natural light. We're gonna have beautiful scenery to look out through the window, and that's what I did today. I'm still stressed, you know. Obviously, like, we've moved into this new place. I've already told you a few things that are going wrong, but I went outside into the park today. I walked up that path, had like a little walk around, got the sun to hit my skin, and then by that time you arrived. That's why I was outside waiting, because I was going around the park, and I thought to myself, you know what? That's also how you can manage stress. Just think about, okay, if I'm stressed, what's that going to do to me? I'm just going to sit there paralyzed thinking about all these stresses. And I took your advice on board, because Rav, you said to me, why don't I, because I'm really bad with this, why don't I take it step by step? Like a video game. Like, in a video game, you don't just do the whole story like when you speak about God of War. And this is what like stuck to me. You don't do the whole story in one go. You don't just do the whole story and figure out all the different parts of the mission in the same, because otherwise it would be all over the place. And that's what I feel like when I'm stressed. So Rav said to me that, why don't you take it step by step like it's a video game? You have one mission, for example, in God of War, you have to go get the mirror for the light elves thing to get the Bifrost. You have to get it recharged. What did Kratos do? He went to the light elves realm to get it recharged. Then what happened there? He met like a really strong opponent that was like, you know, the light elves and the dark elves were fighting each other. Then he had to solve their problem. Then the next thing. So it's like he didn't know before he went into their realm that he was going to be doing all those things. He just took the next step. And I think that's what I need to also start practicing, is like, just take that next step. Mm-hmm. After you realize you've taken 20 steps and you're actually at a position where you've figured out one problem and now you're on to the next.
And the problems never go away. Like you'll solve one problem and then like two problems will come back in its place.
Yeah.
They always say that when you ask a question and you get an answer, two questions will come back in its place.
Yeah.
Because
Makes sense.
that's just the way life is, right?
Yeah.
So if you accept that you're always gonna have stress in your life, regardless. Imagine you get all your career, your finances, everything's done. So that stress is gone. Guess what? You get married now, and then you have kids, which you've never had before. You've never been a parent before. You know, that incurs stress. Whether you're rich or poor, being a parent is gonna, you know, I can imagine it's a very stressful situation. I've been a dog parent. You know, I had Gina for we had her for 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And taking care of a dog, they always say like taking care of a dog or a pet is like taking care of a child that never grows up.
Yeah.
Because they need feeding, they can't feed themselves. When they need to go toilet, you need to assist them go into the toilet. You need to open the door, let them go outside.
Yeah.
So these things require your care and attention 24/7. So that was a stress as well that I kind of learned from a young age as well. So all of these experiences in life will bring along their own stresses, but instead of focusing on, oh, this is going to make me stressed out, you can focus on this stress will help me mold myself into a new version who can handle these tasks, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Harman? I know you've been...
I was just gonna say, let's go back a few episodes and get you to translate what you just said in Punjabi. You just said you were a dog parent, right?
Mm.
I want you to translate that in Punjabi.
Kutta pita.
No, it's like you just called yourself a kutta parent. I was just thinking about that. I was like, he just said he's a dog parent. And if I just translated that into Punjabi, just the first part, it's like, you're a kutta parent. It's like you're swearing at someone. So, I think there's a lot of things that come around the whole topic of being stressed. And do you know what? We're talking about this from our experiences, but we also know a lot of stories about other people's experiences, because if you relate this back to our vision for this podcast, which is 2BFT. It's for South Asians that feel like they're part of both worlds. Not just South Asians as well. It's like anyone. For example, I love to stress this out. It's like, it is a lot of people that come back to us that give us that feedback. They're like, oh, we do feel like that as well. I was speaking to someone at work who's Irish, and she asked me about, I know you do a podcast, like, what's it actually called? And I said, oh, it's 2BFT. And she was like, oh, so what's that? And I said, well, it's too brown for this. And she laughed about it. And I said, well, it's too brown for this. Well, that's like just a catchy name that we came up with. But what it stands for is that we're too brown and also too British. We've got a foot between two worlds, right? And I said, like, this is how Rav describes it. And I said to her, do you know what? You'll actually relate to that. You're too... And guess what she said?
Too Irish for this.
Exactly. And I said, that's what we do on the podcast. We literally speak about being too Bulgarian for this, being too stressed for this. You know, it's just knowing that there are people that feel that they're too something for this. It's literally, that's our whole vibe of the podcast.
Have you ever seen the show Power? You know, the one with 50 Cent in it?
I know the show and Power. I also
Ghost and Tommy.
Yeah, I also did a outfit of the day. Yeah, Tommy Egan. Yeah.
But that show is centered around a guy called James St. Patrick, but his kind of street name is Ghost, because the whole idea is he used to sell drugs and he was a big drug kingpin, but then he bought a nightclub, so he wants to go legit. And the whole show is about him constantly battling the new life, the new version of himself, the businessman with the crook. You know, so it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in it.
Yeah.
There's duality pops up everywhere in life. We're happy, sad, masculine, feminine, you know, yin, yang, light and dark, love, hate, good, evil. All of these things, there's duality in literally everything. So even if you're not brown, even someone like Ghost, trying to balance it, you know, his double life with the crook stuff and the nightclub, even he feels too brown for this, because he's like, yo, I've got all of these things to manage, but then I've got this part of my life as well, and it's hard, and you can't really blend the two. So You know, do you identify as one? Do you identify as the other?
Yeah.
Can you say you identify as both? You know.
So what you're trying to say is like, even like with people's outside persona and inside persona, it's like when you go home, do you ever think even slightly, I'm a bit different outside than I'm inside at home? Like people get to see different aspects of your personality. Like if you go to work, they're not going to know who you are at home with your parents.
Have you ever heard the Japanese proverb? There's basically 3 masks
That someone wears like in their life.
The first mask is
Who you are to other people.
For the public,
Yeah.
general public
Yeah.
of who you are. And then the next layer of the mask is what your friends and family see. So they know a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
But the final one is that's the truest version of who you are. And some people never show that to anyone. You know. And with good reason as well, because the most unique, truest version of yourself, you're never going to show anyone, because every interaction, there's a sacrifice involved. You might do something for someone and not think about yourself. You might do something for yourself and not think about someone else. So there's always a layer of cost, benefit, risk analysis, a level of thought, a level of decision making that kind of puts you away from who you truly are.
Yeah.
But we do these things not with evil intent, but to build ourselves into the best way to serve greatly. Because at work, you bring a diplomatic version of yourself to work, because you might get angry at something, but you know you can't swear at someone, you can't physically assault someone. You know that there's things that you are bounded by. So obviously you're going to be a different version, you know.
Yeah.
Because there are rules and regulations in place. With friends and family, there's a bit different. You can shout at each other, you can swear at each other, you can argue, you can fight, and you know, water under the bridge after, innit? Yeah. That's another saying, Harmon. Have you heard of that one?
Water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge. That just means like let it go. Basically, like
we've also got a
forgive and forget kind of thing.
We've also got proverbs like sayings like that in Punjabi and Hindi and stuff.
There's so many, bro. In Punjabi.
that mix in like. I know water under the bridge is also one in Hindi. I don't exactly remember which one it is. It's like Pani Ghat Ke Niche or something like that. I don't remember the exact. The guy in the comments is going to be like, I'm actually fluent in all these languages, and like you're saying it wrong. That's just what it is. It's like balancing all these different aspects of your life and your personality and living, and understanding that stress is always a part of someone's life, but it doesn't have to be the only thing in life. You have to force yourself to and it's like how we always say, humans are naturally negative creatures. We cling to the negatives more than we cling to the positives, because look at me, for example. I've had to move, I've had to pick up my whole life from one place to the other, and for some people that's actually like, some people love that.
Yeah, like nomads.
Not nomads. I'm thinking in regards to, for example, the people that move from here to, like, let's say they move to New York. Are they thinking that, I've just had to pick up my whole life? No, they're thinking about the next opportunities that's going to come for them. For example, I follow this one guy on TikTok, and he moved from England to New York, and he's documenting his journey and vlogging everything. And he's living. And he also said, I was scared. It is a scary thing to move from one place to the other. I've done it moving from India to here, my mom and I. And as I'm growing older, I think, wow, my mom must have felt so scared and stressed, but she managed it. My mom's actually quite good at this. I was saying this to you before we started the podcast. She takes it step by step a lot of times, and she tries to teach me that. But I think because of the type of child that I am, like I was an only child that grew up in a certain way, I like to plan for everything, and I overwhelm my brain sometimes. Whereas you said that you do take it at things as they come along. So, and do you know what the great thing about that is? Appreciating that during your stressful times, the people that you have close by are the people that will always be with you. Because it's what when we went to the cafe the other day to have breakfast before we started moving all the things from my place, what did you say to me? Oh, I think it was either you or Amajit that said that to me. it's like the people in it was something along the lines of like the people that are there for you in your stressful times.
Oh yeah. You were saying you jogged my memory. You were like, basically Harmon was saying that one part of why he doesn't really like moving too much is that it inconveniences everyone else, because obviously if we're helping, we have to take a day off work or, you know, move around out of the commitments, which sometimes is not a very easy thing to do. But I just said to Harmon that anyone who's happy to be in your life and happy to support you is never going to feel inconvenienced. You know, obviously, if I had something going on at 4 p.m. and you rang me at 3:55 saying, "Oh, bro, can you hear?" Obviously, I'm going to feel inconvenienced.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be happy to do it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like, "Oh, this guy."
It's
Get a load of this guy.
Get a load of this guy. That's his new thing now.
How I was moving, I just kept saying it all the time. I was like, this guy, man, this flipping guy.
Get a load of this guy.
Get a load of this guy. Because my friend said it. That's the new thing. It's not, there's no more, things like that, and it's just, get a load of this guy.
Get a load of this guy. We're coining our own phrases. we're building our bibliography of phrases that
we need a 2BFT glossary.
Oh my god, we should start that.
Yeah, every episode we make a new word. Yeah, it's gonna be part of the 2BFT glossary. We're gonna have that on a doc.
We're gonna quiz people.
Yeah, we're gonna quiz people. We're like, what does that mean in episode 12?
Because that's our thing. Quizzing is our thing. So we're like, so episode 12, guys. What phrase did Rav use? They'd be like, it's one of them, wasn't it?
It's one of them.
So what I was trying to say was like, it also like stress. I know it's such a bad thing to have, like, oh my god, I'm so stressed, everything's going bad in my life. But it also, again, it's the perspective. The opposite side of that is, oh my god, I'm so thankful that every time I have a stressful situation, I've got people around me to help. People care about me. And I think all it takes is a shift of perspective and mindset to think, instead of focusing on the situation and the stress, you focus on the people that are there to help you through that situation. It's like, it's not you versus the situation, it's you and your people around you and your support network versus adversities in life. Because guess what? If you have something that stresses you out, I'm going to be there for you. You, for example, thank God you don't have anything crazy stressful like moving houses and stuff right now. But you go through stress, you go through daily stress, you go through personal stress, mental stress, and you come over to me on Sunday, right? Before we start the podcast, Rav always comes over, and we have like this whole session of just speaking to each other about like, okay, what's happening in our lives. And also the podcast has made us get together more often, so we're actually keeping up with each other. I know everything that's going on in this guy's life. He knows everything about me. And we're able to share that with each other. So that brings that stress level down. If I've just had something going on in my life, I can call home and be like, yo, bro, I've just had this happen, man. Like, it's so annoying. Like, blah, blah. But you can speak to me about that. And I guess, in a way, the world puts these situations in front of you to teach you and to make you learn that you should be focusing on this aspect of your life, of building these relationships, focusing on who's there for you. And also, that leads me on to just thinking about, a lot of times people always say like, oh, stress shows you who the real people are around you. But also, you never know in the future. We don't even know this. In the future, what about if we meet a third person who becomes like a part of our friend group, who's going to be always there for both of us? Then that also, like, all these experiences, it essentially, it's the universe telling you to foster relationships. Reach out your hand and be vulnerable, like we were speaking about it yesterday. Be vulnerable enough, not just in your personal love relationships, but also friend relationships, to be open to asking for help from other people as well.
That's another thing, that the way we manage things together, I want to talk about this on the podcast too, because I've got a bone to pick with South Asians in general, all the, our parents, our family and friends. This might be everyone, but I've noticed it particularly with Arpane, right? When there's a stress going on, everyone defaults to blaming, passing blame and passing judgment, which is the wrong thing. If I'm like a standard typical Arpane and you tell me, bro, I've got something going on, I need you to help me move. Oh, you're moving again, bro. You should have done this, you should have done that. Or what did you do this time? Blah, blah. nah. Should those conversations happen? If you've done something wrong, yeah, at some point they should happen. You should always speak to people and be like, you know what, that was a bit dumb, innit? But not in the heat of the situation. The best way to help someone who is stressed out in a situation is to find ways to get past the situation. Don't pass blame. Don't pass judgment. Fix the situation as much as you can now, and then have that conversation after. You know what, Harman? You know, it's a bit dumb that you should have done that. You know, next time just think before, or take a bit more time, or consider this or consider that. That's fine. Or you can say that to me. But if I call you, I expect help. I don't expect like
a lecture.
Yeah. You know, you can call me. You're not gonna get a lecture. You just be like, oh, bro, help me with this, and I'll just help you in it. If you want to talk about it after, or if I feel like you've done something like really dumb, I'll just be like, bro, we need to speak about this after. But for right now, let's focus on the task at hand. And I think that's where lots of stress comes in from. Because, bro, if you always focus on the task at hand, you will always remain present. When you remain present, outcomes don't matter. It's like, you know, when you're happy, when you're going out with your boys and stuff, it's happy because everyone's just saying jokes. Everyone's living in the moment. And the focus is on the task at hand, just like, let's eat this food, or we're going to go bowling or something. We're fully present. You don't care about, oh, what's work going to be like tomorrow? What am I going to eat for dinner? What's for lunch? You're not focused on any of these things. You just focus on the task at hand itself. I think that if everyone has the ability to, at will, become present, focus on the things that you need to do, and then also accept the things that you can't control everything and you can't do everything. You have to be willing to also let things go that you can't change. Like, we could have moved, we could control the day which you moved, but you can't control what the weather's going to be like on that day. You can't control if there's like a massive traffic accident here and then the road is blocked off, so we need to park like around the corner and bring everything. You can't control those things, innit? So there's no point worrying about them or stressing about them if you can't control it.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to the other quote is, if you can change it, don't worry about it because you can change it. And then if you can't change it, don't worry about it because you can't change it. Now, should you always live in the moment and be present? No, because that can be very self-destructive, right? You must have a balance, right? Because in self-improvement, there's delayed gratification, right? Which is sacrificing what you want now to have something better later, which is the complete opposite of living in the moment, right? That's you kind of living into the future and saying, oh, I envision myself with a six-pack and I've got big arms, so that means right now I need to be going to the gym, and maybe I need to not eat the burgers. I might need to lay off the burgers and start going to the gym more. And that's going to be your present actions to dictate the future result, which is kind of not living in the moment. You're trying to live in the future. But then even that causes a stress in itself, because you want to be that version of yourself so badly, and you know that you're not that version now. So it causes stress. But in all these situations that I'm describing, the stress is always self-inflicted. The suffering, stress itself is the release of cortisol, the hormone, and you can't control that. But the suffering in the mind is completely self-inflicted, bro. Whenever you've got stress about problems that you can't change or are out of your control, be present, focus on the task at hand. And whenever it's, you know, things that you need to do now that you're stressed about, focus on the future version of yourself. So when it's gym, obviously, if I'm present in the moment, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. That's me being present. So I need to live in the future and see that version of myself who did go to the gym that day and become that, envision myself in the future. But then also, when these events happen, like, oh, you got to move on this day and blah, blah, blah. Don't live in the future and stress yourself out about it. Live in the moment, the version of you now. Pack your things, slowly get your checklists made. And that's how you eliminate the stress. Well, not eliminate, but
minimize it.
Minimize the effects of stress. You can never get rid of stress itself because it's a hormone. It's like testosterone. You can't get rid of testosterone in the body. And all the hormones in your body are balanced for a reason, because it keeps it functioning.
It also relates back to the graph of if you have no stress, you got rid of stress, the cortisol hormone immediately, completely from your life, you're never going to have drive to do anything. Because it is the graphs,
Exactly.
the graphs there to prove that. And I think you nailed the hammer on the head.
What is this guy talking about? This guy's making up his own thing, bro.
You hit the nail on the head is what I was trying to say.
Bro speaking harmonies, he's making his...
I actually,
language,
you know, I've got my own language. Like
bro can speak to the minions.
I can take a book out of my page.
And you can wipe your face.
Yeah. Instead of wiping the floor with someone, I can wipe their face with someone. So there's the key here from what I think Rav you just said is balance. If you're a fulfilled human, and recently I've been reading a book. Actually, I'm rereading this book because the first time I read it, I kind of skimmed over everything. But I'm rereading this book called Ikigai, which is the Japanese. The Japanese came up with this word. It's Ikigai. It means to be, to figure out what your purpose in life is. It's that state of figuring out your purpose. And there's a lot of things to learn about Ikigai. It's like your reason of being. So the way the book shows you your reason of, like, teaches you about the reason of being is like there's different aspects in your life that you want to control. There is things that you're passionate about. There's things that will make you money. There's things that make you happy, and there's things that will
keep you physically fit, innit?
No, it's more towards the last is there's things that will impact the world. What your impact is on the world.
Right.
For example, if you have a job that gets you money, you're passionate about, gets you happy, and has an impact on the world, would that be your perfect job? And let's say there was a job that made you happy, you were passionate about, and had an impact on the world, but barely gave you any money. Like it was like 20K a month. 20K. I'm sorry, 20K a year. Sorry, that's what I meant. Would you think that's your dream job? Like it's doing everything, it's making you happy, it's passionate, and it's doing something for the world, but there's no money in it. You'll constantly be struggling for money. That wouldn't be your perfect job. Or if you had a job that paid so well, did you felt passionate about the job itself, and it did something for the world, like you were a CEO of a company that did something for the world and you were getting paid really well, but there was no happiness in it. Like you just came back home and you thought, oh, I'm doing all these things, but I'm missing something. It's that feeling of missing something and not being whole. And I think what we can take from that is the balance of things. It's like stress is also important in your life, but also because obviously that future planning comes from stress. If you're stressed, you will plan things for the future, because guess what I did? Before I moved into this place, I had to future plan my budget. If I took that step by step and I moved into this place without planning for my budget, then guess what?
You wouldn't have any money.
I wouldn't have... I could be in debt. So I planned what my overall budget looks like for this place to be able to afford this place. And then I made that decision, which then I had the stress of moving. So I had to be present in the moment for that moving. So what I'm personally lacking in the balance of all is I can plan for the future, but when it comes to being present to minimize my stress, I struggle to do that. And I'm trying to improve that. And I think that's what I said at the start of the podcast episode. Gym helps me with that, because if I was still going to the gym actively, what gym does for me, or exercise in general, that's why people say exercise is so important. Not just physically, but it brings you back down into the moment. Because guess what? If you don't do the exercise properly, you're going to get injured. Or even managing stress in other ways. People go out with friends. They sit down and watch their favorite show. Why? Because when you're doing those things, you're dragging yourself back down into the moment. You're stopping your brain from overthinking. And I think overthinking is one of my vices in my life. I am a huge overthinker. Not in bad ways. I won't like sit there and just start overthinking about no reason. But when there is a situation, you
start analyzing. Could I said this? Could I have done that? What if I said this? What if this person did this? What if this
I don't overthink about the past. because I'm quite good at actually moving on from the past. I overthink about the future. It's like, oh, if I put my foot on this platform in a certain way, what's all the possibilities that I can have? Like, basically, it's like a multiverse in my head. It's like, oh, if I say this, then will the situation go down this way or this way?
I think it's the curse of being intelligent, you know, because we've grown up very nerdy kids, bro.
Yeah.
Like, who else was good at maths and physics? What other idiots enjoyed maths and physics growing up? Like, every other kid hated it. Have you noticed that people aren't really numbers people?
Yeah.
In life. And then you feel like kind of outcasted. You're like, oh, I love numbers and calculations and stuff. Because you know why? Because numbers, physics is comfortable.
Yeah.
Because, really, bro, in physics, we would always get the same answer, both of us. Well, obviously, if one of us is wrong, we get a different answer. But provided, if everyone does the method right, you can use any method you want. But if it's right, you'll always get to the same answer.
You could skip 7 steps and still get the same answer.
Exactly. But subjects like English and psychology, there's so much variance and everything. I feel like that creates another stress in itself. That like maths and physics is exact, bro. Like I can look at this thing and be like, nah, you were wrong, bro.
Like facts are facts. Whereas feelings and the writer said the curtains were red because he was trying to convey his romance and this and like, no, bro, it's a fact. Like, it's red. I understand where you're coming from with this.
So I think that's where thinking and analyzing, we've kind of learned to have that in our heads, because being analytical people in general, we want to look at situations and be like, oh, okay, let's compute every scenario and what the possibilities are, and then I want to pick the one that has like the least risk, the least like what can go wrongs and stuff like that. But sometimes, bro, you need to just
let it go.
Just let it go, because I've seen people, right? I've done a sales job, and the first thing I was thinking is my sales call, oh, what objections am I going to get? If this person says, oh, I need to speak to my wife, what am I going to say to that? If this person says, oh, I need to think about it, oh, leave it with me, I'll give you back and I'll come, get back to you in a couple of weeks. I writ down everything, every objection, how to get around it, or what to say back to the prospect. And this other salesperson who was doing way better than me did none of that. They were just like, oh, let's just call them and see what happens. And I was like, bro, why can't I be like that? Why can't I not have this
overanalyzing?
This and it happens automatically, bro. It's not even like
we don't try to do it.
It's not even we do. Obviously, do you think we'd be trying to do it? who in their right mind would try and analyze a million different scenarios of things? Like we're like Thanos, and it like going through all the infinite universes possibilities.
Doctor Strange did that.
Oh, whatever. Doctor Strange then.
Yeah, because he was like this, he's like, and he's like, oh, Strange, how many possibilities did you see? He's like, 14,301,001. Which one did we win? One. That's like us. It's like, oh, let me overanalyze every situation ever. Which one did I succeed in? Oh, the one where I wasn't thinking about anything.
Yeah, and it's like, bro, that person literally just got on the phone and just said whatever and just was a normal person. And for me, I was like trying to treat it as like, there's all these things at play and they're all against me as well. That's how I viewed it. Because all those scenarios and outcomes, you look at all the bits that are weighted against you. That's why you're not successful in any of them. You need to think of the scenario where things are in your favor, where you are in your favor, your actions, everything you do is in your favor. That's what makes you win. Because even if the odds aren't in your favor, if all the actions you do are always in your favor, you end up winning at some point. Because you can just get lucky, bro.
Yeah, I think it's also us realizing that we can't control everyone.
You can't.
You can only control your own actions, and I need to learn this, because if I keep overanalyzing and thinking that I need to control this person, or like if I say it this way, they're gonna do this. No, I just need to do what I think is right in my head and what's good for me, and let the other person do their bit, and then decide how to move on from that. Because if, let's say, for example, you're going to an interview and you meet the boss, right? I can have a million things in my head, be like, oh, if I say hello or if I say greetings, it will show him that I'm a different person. If I shook his hand tightly, or if I shook his hand loose, or if I was wearing a nice cologne, he could smell it, blah, blah. All these things, like, I can't control how he reacts to those things. All I can do is do my best and say to myself, okay, when you go there, just say a nice hello, professional hello, shake his hand like you normally would of a normal person, like a good handshake, and smell as good as you always do, because obviously I mean, like, I love my perfume and stuff. Just make sure you smell good like you always do. Just do what you would do every day, because at the end of the day, you're not there to find out if this boss is right for you. He's finding out if you're right for the company. So just do what you need to do.
What you just described was living in the present.
Yeah.
What you just described to you, the set of actions, and look at the boss is gonna look at you like, oh yeah, there he is, shake his hand.
Yeah. They're not
thinking, oh, let's find the best way to say good morning.
Yeah.
Google 10 ways to say good morning without saying good morning.
Yeah.
You know, no one's gonna be.
No one on
that. Bro. Everyone in this world, for all our BFs, whether you're a CEO, whether you're a millionaire, whether you're a supermodel, whether you're anyone, people are people at the end of the day. All our feelings are the same. Everyone feels anger the same, to different extents, yeah. But anger's the same. Love, lust, everything, it's all the same for everyone. So is emotion, right? People are all the same. That's it. No one's really special on this earth. There are people that are like super good at and super talented at things and kind of destined to do things, and you know, stuff like that. But
get a load of this guy.
Yeah, everyone has the same biology. Everyone has testosterone, cortisol, estrogen, all of these things.
Progesterone.
You know, two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Obviously, the guy in the comments is going to say like, oh, there's a baby born without arms and legs and stuff like that. Those are like discrepancies, but as a heavy generalization, everyone's born with the same things in it, and everyone gets 24 hours in a day as well. You've heard that one, innit? We all get the same 24 hours.
Yeah, it's like universal things that we can't control. We shouldn't try to. Even general things, like we can't control other people's thoughts about us.
We can't even control how many people listen to the podcast. All we can control is that we try and get good stuff out and just talk about meaningful things. Mm-hmm. And whoever's going to listen, whether that's 5 people, 10 people, 100 people,
or
10 million people. Millionaire, man. Yeah, but...
So, I think that was a great conversation we had today about stress. I think, do you know what? It's actually helped me release some stress today. I'm glad we've spoken about these things. And we would love to know what the BFs think on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, because you know your boys are funny on TikTok sometimes.
Yeah, and we blew up as well. The clip of Who Is Rav has got like 10 point something K views, and our TikTok account had like 20 followers, 10K views at 20 followers. That come on, that's got to be that's got to be commendable.
That's pretty good. So let us know what you guys think and what stresses you guys go through, and see you guys in the next one.
Take care, guys. 2BFT.